PorkRoll.Vs Taylor Ham podcast. This week, episode 2, we go through high school life.
Yes, or maybe no, depending on what kind of experience you had.
I had a great experience, honestly.
It was so-so.
I was a mix. First 2 years, good. Second 2 years, bad. Anyway, my personal life for high school, I don't know. I kind of started out...
You're definitely like a stoner. Like, you were a stoner kid in high school.
I'd say last 2 years, because that's when it went bad.
So, you know in One Tree Hill, when they're sitting around, and they're like, they put the 5, like, categories of people on the board, and then they go through the classroom, and, like, who, and it was, like, prom queen, loner, jock, and, like, a geek was one, but stoner wasn't on there, because I think it had to be, like, PG, but I would categorize yourself as that. Even if you didn't, you just hung out with those kind of people. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I just kind of, I don't know, because I really didn't know who I was. I felt like definitely in middle school, I was a geek. I don't care. But no.
No, you were not a geek. Like,
no.
Star Wars doesn't mean a geek.
No, not like geek like that. Like, we're going to go into this entire episode about, like, cliques and everything. But there was definitely that in my graduating class. Well, my year going through school. And more so in middle school, though. But I'm saying, like, I didn't grow up with those people. I had, like, my crew of, like, 2 friends in middle school. And that was that. But then going through high school, like, I was like, all right, my dad wanted me to go out and do football and everything, so I did that my first 2 years, and honestly, it just, I don't know, I didn't like it. It was very favoritism. It's like...
Well, sports are, like, there's a lot of politics in sports.
Exactly, and that's exactly what it was. So, pretty much, so when I would play football, I don't know, like, it was honestly just like
wasn't you.
It was a giant frat in my school. I will definitely say that. They had a paddle.
Well, sports
in the locker room.
Are very cliquey.
Yes, exactly.
And, like, I lived, like, that was, like, my whole high school life. Like, I went to a very small school, and, like, sports was at the center of it.
How big was your graduating class?
I'd say about, like, maybe, like, 85 tops.
So, for comparison, mine, I think, was about 450. I mean, maybe not, like, on the dot, but... It was about...
My whole school probably had less than 500 kids, and it's a junior, senior high school, so that's 6 different classes.
I wonder how many are those left in Jersey where they don't have... You don't go from elementary to middle.
There's a few up north.
Yeah, I wonder why. It's so weird.
I think it's because, like, the towns are much smaller.
Yeah.
But my school was just... It was tiny. It was... It was pretty cliquey. But like, I didn't notice as much because, like... It sounds super bad, but, like, I was, like, at the top of, like, the food chain in the high school.
Okay. So one of the reasons we were gonna do a different a different topic this episode, and I don't know how, but we started getting to talk about high school. And again, I said last week that you go away you study abroad, and then all of a sudden you bring it up in everyday life, literally every 5 minutes. So but here we go again. So when I was away, they asked me, all they wanted to know was Mean Girls. They were like, was Mean Girls, is that they're fascinated with American high school life. Because there's so many portrayals of it in the media, whether it's TV and movies and documentaries and all these things. And so they wanted to know, was Mean Girls, which is a great movie, and they wanted to know if that was really what high school life was like. And I was like, no way it was high school like that.
But I think it was just exaggerated.
No, so in preparation for this episode, which I went into it thinking, no, my high school wasn't that way at all. And James and I went to the same high school. But we quickly learned that all 3 of us have had very different versions of high school. And I realized that because mine, I really had no issues. I was a quiet kid. I kept to myself. I had a very, very small group of friends. But I learned very quickly that just because I didn't see it didn't mean it wasn't going on. And then when I watched these movies, I watched Can't Hardly Wait last night. Fantastic movie. But I realized watching that movie, I had an epiphany watching it. And I'm like, oh my God. It wasn't that my high school was different. I was different. My high school was the same out of anybody's high school. I was different.
Like, honestly, if we went to the same high school, like, I would have known you because there was 85 kids in my class.
Yeah.
But we wouldn't have been friends.
No way. I mean, I was just quiet. Like,
well, we might have, because you did play softball.
Yeah. That's the thing. Like, when you say football was very, and like you said too, like, as, even sports are very cliquey, the softball team really was, I mean, you did have your popular girls, but I don't know, maybe it was smaller. It was a smaller team than, like, football. Football's got how many kids? 50 kids at least.
They had, when I was in my sophomore year, when we would have our games on Saturday, there's probably like 75 kids lined up.
Yeah, and we had, 15?
That's like almost my whole graduating class.
No, that's serious.
Softball team's, 15, 20 girls, maybe.
Tops.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're stuck with each other every single day, so that kind of breaks down all those cliquey barriers. Yeah. But that was the only thing that I had. I had sports, and then inside of school. And I don't know, maybe that's why I thought there were no cliques, because in sports, because I was in these smaller girl teams, you just kind of like, oh, you're all the same. You're just all athletes. And maybe that's, why. But then I started thinking, I'm like, wait, I sat at a lunch table with, maybe 5 other girls. We were all quiet, studious, good girls. And I was like, wait, and then, okay, maybe. It's very in right now, okay? But then there were also, like, those tables of, like, the more popular kids and the talky ones and maybe Marissa. But we also, okay, so getting back to Mean Girls, I was like, no way do they have, like, that burn book? No way.
No, it wasn't burn book.
Yeah,
it wasn't
that was a burn book. Okay,
no.
Rissa was calling people some slurs now that would get her, like,
book?
Yes.
No, not real. It was one.
Okay, in my notes, listeners, you can't hear. In my notes, I have Mean Girls lunchroom equals Rissa is a psychopath. She has an entire. She goes, remember how I said that Mean Girls was maybe it maybe it wasn't like actual high school, and then she brings out this notebook.
No, it was my high school senior journal.
Yes, it was a burn book.
We had to do it.
She was tearing apart girls.
No, one girl.
Yeah, some slurs in there would get you kicked out of now. I mean, like, actual slurs. And
I was an ignorant child.
You're sending this to teachers to read. Like, what is
all right,
wrong?
But the problem is,
something
why didn't the teachers ever do anything
that's
about
right. Okay, so
that's the real question.
We're going to get more into that on the differences between our high schools, because Rissa went to obviously very small school. James and I went to a bigger. It's not the biggest. There's a lot more bigger schools.
But I also did have, like, the Mean Girls when they wrote down, like, where everybody is in the lunchroom.
The same exact thing.
We did it because of Mean Girls, but, like, it still matched up, like, pretty well.
I was taking pictures of it and sending it to people. So
there are those cliques in every high school, like, they go through, and they might be, like, different nationalities or, like, slightly different, but, like, they're still there.
Yeah, but so this was the thing that I've now been saying for years, is that the media portrays American high school so badly, and sometimes they get it right. But I think most of the time it's really
just exaggerated.
Off. Yeah. And most of the time it's these rich snobs, like, think of, like, She's All That. They've got these kids driving around in, like, beautiful cars.
See, but that probably happens in, like, Upper Bergen County, like, where we work. Like, can you see that happening with those
So
kids?
Rissa and I work where, like, celebrities, like, live, and I'm sure that their kids go to school. So, like, I'm a peasant. But there are some movies. I mean, I watched 13 Reasons Why this past summer, and it was just like, I remember talking to my one friend from Ireland, and she was saying, I couldn't get over it. I was like, this is wrong. This is not how high school is. The one kid who was an awful, and spoiler alert, the girl dies. That's what, I mean, in, like, the first episode, that happens. But all these horrible things happen to her, and it's all these things, and I'm like, no way would that ever happen. But there's kids that die every single day because of these horrible things. And that's where it was kind of like a reality check. Like, I was really privileged and lucky that I didn't see any of these things. And that, happened to me. Because these things do happen. And I do think, like, 13 Reasons Why was something real happened. And then the epic proportions. The one kid is got, he lives in a mansion. He's got a pool house, and all the kids, they just skip school and they all stay in his pool house and smoke pot and do all these drugs. I'm like, no, okay. I don't see any of that happening. But again, maybe
it could happen in the more.
Who knows? Like in LA, maybe like where Kim Kardashian
maybe my town was just way too poor for it. I mean, we definitely were.
It's true, but I would say so. And when I was doing some research and looking up, like, acting school, movies that really get high school life right, obviously Breakfast Club is top of the top. And I mean, and to get high school, American high school, in a movie that is based on one day, that's not even about high school, like, they're in a library all day long, and to get what it's like to be an American kid in high school in the 80s and how it's still so
the exact same.
Yeah, it's still so accurate.
There's that hierarchy in high school.
Yeah, look at so another example of high school and media is Friday Night Lights. But I do think so my high school's football team was god awful. I mean, we were known for our baseball team. And if you just look, the baseball team's field was so beautiful. It looked like a minor league team could play there. But it was because if you win, you get money. And so that their field was so beautiful. It had a beautiful press box. Like, advertisers lining the back, the outfield wall.
Nice turf field,
yeah,
too.
It was
like,
just
it was
so
really
nice.
well
But
taken care of.
It's like, it's hard to say, so the seriousness of sports is a real thing.
Yeah.
And it depends on which school you go to, because, your school was big in football and volleyball,
yeah,
right?
We weren't even good at football, but it was just because, we were good, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
That it's, they're still holding on to it.
Yeah, so the seriousness of high school sports in American, in the media,
culture.
how it's portrayed, that is a real thing. There are people who are if you are good, you are idolized.
Yeah.
And you are the
because I was good at sports and I got away with so many things in high school that a kid that was good in the band definitely wouldn't have gotten away with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Letterman jackets, not a thing in my school, at least.
No. The band,
we had
sometimes I would see them, but
band, but
that
we
was
had
really
we
it.
had really ugly colors, so no one
true.
really wanted a purple and yellow.
Yeah, so
It's
we were green and white, so that was nice. We had really nice colors, but the only kids who wore Letterman jackets were the band geeks, and that was it. I mean, but in media, that's all you see. They all have their and then they give them to their girlfriends, and then their girlfriends wear their Letterman jackets. No, that's not real.
The only thing we had really was if your team won leagues or some states or whatever, you get a sweatshirt or some kind of shirt,
patches.
and that's what you would wear.
Yeah, we used to get patches.
Well, we got patches, but no one ever got an actual jacket.
No, that's you would get a patch and because I got academic patches. But
you nerd.
So yeah,
I'm jealous.
Nerd.
So, but I got academic patches, and then I got you would get a patch after at the end of the year you have a dinner for at the end of the season, and they give you a patch for at the end of the season, and they were for your jacket, but nobody would ever buy the jacket.
I still have my letters.
Yeah,
it's just no one. I didn't want a jacket because it's a lot of money for.
I remember getting
a purple
hoodies
jacket
and everything.
Yeah, we had. Especially my volleyball
my God.
team.
I have hoodies from your high school.
Yeah, because it was
great. And it was an hour away
Half
from
my
me.
wardrobe was going to high school.
Yeah, but you also had all three of you did some. Well, did Kenny do anything? Kenny is Rissa's brother.
Bold.
He's a bowler. He did play. He played baseball for a little while. He played basketball.
So you had all three of you, because Rissa's one of three as well as James and I. All three of you did something. I'm the only one that did anything.
Well,
so
I'm the only one that did it right.
So but you have merchandise wise, you got all three of you were buying stuff.
Yeah, going back to
2000. Yeah, I'm the only one who did anything, so that's why you don't see any green and white going on. And also, I think it's. I don't know, even playing, I was a student athlete, and even playing, I think the whole thing is dumb. I mean, it's high school sports. I mean, come on. And maybe it was because I was never, our softball team was good, but we were never, winning state good. And so, I don't know, maybe when you are on that good of a team, you're no, I'm proud of being, but
See,
I
but,
don't know.
I was on a state championship team, and I hated it. So, my high school volleyball team, we won the state championship.
Okay, we're just gonna have to cut in right now because we got two rude, drunk old women outside of the room, and they're being a little chatty. And we've gone out multiple times and being like, you know what? Maybe you just want to tone it down a little bit.
But no.
A problem in this family is that they don't have any hearing.
Inside voice.
There's no inside voice at all.
There's no inside filter.
A common joke in the family is that why use a phone? Open up the window and scream out, and you'll be able to talk to each other.
But you could.
So,
we all live in different parts of New Jersey, and you could.
So it's so if you hear shrill old women talking,
that you want to claw your eardrums out of your head.
We apologize for that. We tried. There's just no stopping them at this point. So continue, Rissa.
So I went to a small high school, and our biggest thing was high school volleyball. And it was like, we called it like a cult, because if you were in volleyball, you didn't have to go to gym, you got away with everything, and like you were only allowed to hang out with volleyball people.
It's like Scientology.
Yeah, actually, it was like a lot like Scientology.
Leah Remini, come save the day.
It was a lot like, and if like you
Leah Remini,
stopped,
if you want to guess,
no, oh my god,
you can.
No, if you stopped playing volleyball, and this actually happened to a friend of mine. She stopped after her. No, she stopped her freshman year. Like, was bullied for like the next 2 years.
Oh,
like
man.
she used to get like prank phone calls from girls on like the volleyball team. Like, it's no joke.
You're in a cult.
I know. Well, no, but it was seriously always the thing that they were like, because like I was never fully in it because everyone knew I hated volleyball.
This is the thing though. So I was just gonna say, like, what do you think the pros and cons are of going to a little school compared to like we went to a bigger school? But that's one of the things, is that everybody knows each other.
See, and I loved my high school. I had a great time in high school, and like I loved knowing people. Like I knew everyone, from all the athletes to all like the real weirdos. Like I loved the real weird kids. Like we got along so well, because like that's like truly like I had like a little piece of weirdo in me.
I love them. I insult them all the time, but
No, but like later on in life, I realized I had a lot of like in common with like the weird people. But like because I was like a jock, that like I always hung out with like the jock people. But then I realized like after like you leave high school, you're like, wow, I don't just have to be one thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like in my high school, it was really nice, like being able to like, you knew everybody.
Yeah.
Like, it sucked, like, because, like, you knew everyone's business and everyone knew your business, but, like, it was great for, like, entertainment. And it was honestly just, like, if you needed something, you can turn to, like, anybody in the hallway, really.
That's true. I definitely didn't have that.
Mm-hmm.
Because in a big school, obviously, I mean, when at the commencement ceremony, kids are walking across the stage, and I'm like, I probably went to school with you for 4 years, and I've never heard of you in my entire life. And kids are walking across, but I don't look at that being an antisocial person. I don't look at that as like, oh, I wish I went to a small school so I knew everyone and everyone knew me. I was perfectly fine with having my 5 little friends, and
See, in high school, I was much more of like an extrovert, and like I literally like I used to like I had a solid like 3 close friends, and like, but I can go to like any clique and like pop around, and like I had friends in like years older than me, like younger than me, like people in the band, people in other sports. I was able to go like anywhere because I was just like that kind of person. Like I was super into being everywhere at every party and hanging out with everyone.
I was kind of that way too, in a sense. I would definitely say my first year, I definitely hung out with more so the jocks, just because I was more involved with football than
Brian, you're gonna be listening to this, and you just disrupted our podcast.
Oh yeah, nice interview by the way, Brian. I saw that.
Yes, if you're in Florida and you watched Fox News,
contact Brian Appleton if you need to be saved. He's bringing in refugees from the south of Florida. He will come get you. He'll come get you with water. He's got plenty of water. Filling tires. Anyway, back to your discussion.
But no, I was definitely the same way. But more so after I went through high school, I can definitely admit that I became a tool bag. But well,
you were friends with people that were in my grade.
Yeah, because that's what I was the same exact way. I bounced around. I was friends with everybody.
So we're James and I are 2 grades apart. So when I was a senior, he was a sophomore.
See, but that was like when I was a freshman, I was hanging out with seniors because I was on varsity sports. So that's who I was hanging out with, and like that made me like I drank a lot sooner than most people drank in high school. Like you grow up. That's another thing. You grow up a lot faster.
Rissa was a sloppy hoe.
From the get-go.
Hoeing since a youngin'.
No. But like
that's not a good enough.
But that is the thing, like especially since like I grew up in a small town up north, 5 minutes from New York. I grew up way faster than you guys did.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. I'm still growing up.
Yeah. Like by the time I was the end of my freshman year of high school, like I had experienced like a lot of high school life that people don't experience until like their senior year.
Yeah, I would say you probably got from what I got from college, probably like my last 2 years of college, because even the first 2 years of college I was still very much keeping to myself, like I had friends in class, but I never talked to them outside of class, which was exactly what I did in high school. I had all these very close friends too. I mean, I lived across the street from one girl. Was that we had an ocean between us because we never saw each other outside of class. But I don't know, it was just accepted. Like, it was just like, yeah, okay. We rode the same bus. We saw each other all throughout the day, rode the same bus, said bye to each other, and then it was like, okay, see you tomorrow morning. And that was that. And then that was even in college.
My mind. Because, like, I was able to walk to anything I wanted to in my town, and, like, any of my friends who lived in my town, you'd walk to.
Softball was different though, because softball you did see them after school, and you had a bunch of functions and stuff like that. So softball, and there were girls that I would never speak to if I didn't play the same sports as them, and it was just like then, like you saw them a lot more than I would see friends that I had way more in common. But it was just that you were thrown together. That's another thing with sports, like we said before, you're just kind of thrown together.
And there's all these different kinds of personalities.
Yeah.
Like you have like the wild people, and then you have like the quiet people like you. And then there's, like, just the people that really, you don't know why they show up because they're never going to play.
Yeah. But that's what there is such because I don't know, I guess you like what you know. So if you went to a small school, you like a small school, you'd go to another small school. For me, I liked, which now, I mean, Nana's big thing is always like, oh, you went to this tiny, quaint little school, and we went to this gigantic, like, it's practically a city. And I'm like, no. My school was not that big. We're not this rich school. Very.
See, but like you guys are rich compared to my school.
Yeah,
because we had nothing. We were so poor.
That's one of the things I think that's a pro of going to a big school is that we had. When you're a big school, you're gonna have more money. That's just what it is. And I think with sports wise, that helps. If you got more money, then everything is better in sports.
Yeah.
So. That is one of the things that I think is a good thing about going to a big school. And then also, I think there's, if you even care, there's more clubs, but not exactly clubs. Like, did you have we had a big,
like student government?
Not so much just journalism, which could include photography, videography, and not just like your basic level courses. Like kind of went deep into it.
We had a newspaper. It was called like the Claxton, and it was like only like really. It actually was a class. It was the kids in like AP English. Mm-hmm. They wrote for the Claxton.
Oh, okay. So
but other than that, we didn't have anything.
For us. Yeah, and that was I think because if say someone like Casey, Rissa's friend Casey, who is a journalism major, say she went to a school.
She'll be on.
Yeah, coming soon. Say she went to a school like mine and she is into journalism. Mm-hmm. Say she could have kind of experienced all of this a couple years before.
Where she went into college basically having
as
nothing.
A newbie, yeah. She could have gotten a head start in going into Rutgers and having already probably 2 years under her belt.
I would say, like, educational-wise, a small school is awful.
Well, I don't know, because it's strange because like with a college, I prefer a small college because you get that personal connection with your teachers and stuff. But
the thing is, we didn't have any extra things.
Yeah.
We had the bare minimum sports, we had the bare minimum classes.
Did you even have soccer for a while?
Soccer came in maybe my senior year of high school.
Which is so strange. Like, soccer's the
most popular sport in the
world. Yeah. It's so strange to not have it. I mean, it's not, like, Major League Soccer-wise, it's not big, obviously. But high school-wise, high school soccer's huge.
Yeah.
You flimsy, stop banging your bottles, you flimsy.
But, like, it's my fave.
But I think that's a big thing, it's all to each his own. I mean, obviously, you really have no decision in where, although that's another thing. So down in Central Jersey, which exists, so in Central Jersey, you don't have a choice of where you go really, unless you want to go to a prep school or a Catholic school. Other than that, you get sent from where your district line is.
That's crazy because we have the public school, then you have another. I guess it's also a public school, but it's a technical school. Then you have another public school, it's the academies. So that's 3 choices right there. Besides that, you have probably about 6 to 8 Catholic schools that you can choose from.
Yeah, you have way more Catholic schools. We have one Catholic school in our old hometown.
We have Catholic schools that are just... The only reason you go to a Catholic school is if you're really smart or if you're really good at sports.
Yeah, we had a couple of kids who if they weren't going to be... they were kind of, this is a whole nother thing. It's like they think that they're gonna go on and play for like the Olympic team or something.
Yeah.
And so they switched to because they need to be in the best program. So we had a couple of kids leave our school like midway through and go to the Catholic school.
That was me.
No,
I needed something on the ground. But
sure, Rissa. Sure, Jan.
Do it again. But that was the thing. Like, if we didn't have so many schools, we'd be so much better at sports, and our probably test scores would have looked a lot better.
That's true. It's because you've got I'm sure a lot of kids who are like, ooh, Bogota. I got all these options. I'm like, I'm going to choose one of those options.
My one friend's mom wouldn't let her go to Bogota until her senior year because she thought she was going to get into, like, she was going to do all these crazy drugs going to public school. I'm like, we don't have money for drugs. Yeah. So you get all the rich kids. Those are the ones doing the drugs. We can't afford that shit. But yeah, it was like, it really is looked on like, oh, Bogota. But I had a great high school experience. So, but I can also see how it can suck for people, though.
Yeah, I mean, I was a quiet kid. I just kind of kept, I had my little group of friends, but I'm sure I was one of those kids who walked across the stage and people were like, who is that? I've never heard of that girl in my life. So, yeah, so I was very quiet in high school. I kept to myself. I had my little group of friends. I did very well. I was studious, but that's what, and I played a couple of sports, but that was it. I just kept to myself. But I know, do you think that we were at the cusp of the bullying revolution where all of a sudden it became...
No, I think it's always been happening.
No,
but
definitely
all of a
has always
sudden
been
it
happening.
became like,
I think it's become more of not an issue, but I think it's becoming more of the forefront of, like...
But do you think, like...
high school problems. Because, like, think about it, there's always been movies about high school bullying.
But did you, like, I'm saying, like... Because now all of a sudden it's like, well, obviously, no, we know that's wrong. Whereas it's kind of was always like, no, well, that's life. It happens. And now I think... For most of the majority of people, they know, no, that's wrong. You don't do that.
Because honestly, like, I wasn't the nicest person in high school.
Neither was I.
Like, honestly. I can fully say, like, I was pretty mean to a few people. And, like, looking back on it, it's like, oh, I'll blame it on, like, my brain wasn't fully developed, so I didn't know any better. But, like, there were people, like, I was seriously not nice to. I actually apologized to, like, one girl who I was, like, pretty mean to in high school. Then when we went to college, I knew her, and, like, we became friends because... I was like, I'm sorry, I was a D-bag. But it was just like, you were a D-bag.
But that's what I was wondering, like...
Because it was, like, expected of you.
We were kind of the... at the age, I think, where all of a sudden, like, all these suicides started happening. And the big one was...
See, I think it's always been happening. I think it's just becoming more part of the media and everything.
Tyler Clementi was the student from Rutgers. Yeah. And that's kind of what... exploded this no, this is wrong. Like, knock it off.
And I also think it's because everything is now documented through social media, text messaging, calling.
This is another thing when I was watching 13 Reasons Why. Now all the kids they're sending the pictures and stuff, and it's like watching like lightning.
Well, no, there has like and it's true when I was in high school, there were pictures of things. I'm not going to go into detail, obviously, but there were things that
nudes.
Like they were sent around, and like a lot of times, like everyone had seen them. But there's also a few years between you guys and me, because I'm young and...
Not much.
Yeah.
When did you guys graduate?
2009.
2011. So then, so I was 2012. Yeah. So there's a few years between us.
Come on, guys. Like, obviously, if I got that picture on my phone, and it's a picture, I think it was a girl, and it was taken not with her consent, and I think it was a picture taken up her skirt, and I'm like, come on, if a picture came to me, first of all, that picture wouldn't come on my phone, because I didn't know people who would send me that picture, but if it did, I'd be like, no, obviously I'm not going to send this.
No, yeah, but a lot of times there'd be like 4, well, it was also because my school was so small, but like there'd be like 4 or 5 people that would have this picture, and they wouldn't send it always, but like they'd like be like, oh look, blah, blah, and you're like, what am I looking at? Like, why are you showing me this?
Yeah, but that's the thing that when I was watching Can't Hardly Wait last night, I had like epiphany, because I'm like, wait, just because I didn't
experience it didn't happen.
Yeah, and because like with bullying and stuff like that, like I wasn't really bullied. I was mocked ever since, I would say probably about middle school. I remember people mocking me for my voice, and if you can't tell, it's kind of high.
I don't even notice it.
I do when I heard this back last week, I was like, oh my god, I hate it so much.
But I feel like everyone hates their voice. I think yours is just a little bit higher.
I can't do anything about it, so it's dumb to even hate because I can't do anything about it. It is what it is, but it's still, I do know when someone first hears me, I know, and I don't even know, maybe they don't think of it, but because of stuff that has happened, and it was nothing really, anything bad. It wasn't like someone pointed at me and was like, ha, you sound like Minnie Mouse on helium. No one ever said that to me. But they would make me, like, so nothing ever happened. Probably like freshman, sophomore year. That's, I think, though, when kids are at their worst. And I think
kids are ruthless.
I think, though, after that, kids know. Like, you know better.
Well,
like,
by the time, like, you're junior, senior, you're like,
and
I'm over
you don't
this.
even care anymore.
I just want to get out of here.
But I think, so, like, 14, 15-year-old, that's, like, that's the end of how awful I think that they're getting. Well, I think for most kids, they're starting to learn, don't do stuff anymore. Don't be an asshole. But I think, like, that was the age, so we would have to read out loud in
your
class.
brain develops.
Yeah.
It really is.
So that was when I was in English class, and we would have to read, and each kid would have a number. And so then, like, after you got done reading, you would have to call out a number. And so then, all of a sudden, I would be reading, and all of a sudden, then I would call out another number, and then they would call it back to me. And it was just and then as soon as I would read, and then I would hear them, like, snickering in the back. And then I'm like, well, I know, they're just doing it because they're laughing. And I'm like, what a dumb thing to make fun of somebody for. Like, really? You're going to make fun of me for my voice? Something that I can't change.
But it's also someone, like, making fun of someone for the way they look.
Yeah. It's
just, like, these stupid things that, like, in high school that seem like this huge thing. And then you look back, you're like, wow.
I remember this one of the kids that used to snicker at me, he friended me on Facebook, like, after he graduated. That was another thing. I didn't have
Wait,
Facebook.
can you write down his name?
I actually don't remember. He was a tall, blonde-haired kid. He looked like Frankenstein. Never smiled. He did play football. But he friended me, and I was like, I'm not going to accept you. No, now you want to be my friend? And you made fun of me? I was like, no.
You were like a unicorn in high school. Like, no social media.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But you were like a little odd duck out there.
No, and I will say
I really didn't. I mean, even that, I still don't consider that to have a negative. I just was kind of floating around. I was just there. I had no issues besides that little issue in English class. But so for like bullying experiences, that's all that I ever, and you know, and I still have issues with it since because of what stupid kids have done. I have moments where I'm like, no, you know what? I'm okay with this voice. But then other times I'm like, ooh, I hate it so much. Why do I have this voice? I need to take testosterone and lower it. But then it's going a little far. You know, like
pretty.
Some facial hair.
Extreme.
It's going a little far.
Episode 50 of PorkRoll.Vs. Taylor Cram.
Hi, this is Carly.
That's too low, okay? I'm a little higher than that. So, how do you think, changing subject, moving along, how do you think you've changed from high school?
Oh, I'm a completely different person.
Yeah, after seeing that burn book.
I will 100% admit that I was awful. Like, I was mean.
She had a burn book again.
No, it was one person.
I think we're skipping over that a little bit.
One person.
It's a burn book.
She was kind of awful, though. Like, the
thing
is,
fugly slut.
the thing is that, like, the people I was mean to were, like, people that I had to deal with every day. Like, I wasn't making fun of, like,
I'm sure Nazis like the same thing.
No. Like, I wasn't making. Can you let me talk? I wasn't making fun of like the weird kids that like didn't have anything, like were doing nothing. Like, I was making fun of like someone who like put themselves there in that situation because like they wanted attention. So I gave them attention.
No, yeah, definitely.
No, you know what I mean? There's those people that like purposely put themselves out there to do it.
I have the perfect story.
I fully took the bait, but I was. It wasn't fully awful, but like there were some times where like I was not proud of myself in high school. But like I was also like very ignorant in high school.
No, yeah, I think you're definitely better.
I've completely changed like my way of thinking of like how the world is.
Yeah.
Which I think is like you need.
If I were to say so I'm definitely louder than I was. But I do think I started changing probably senior year. I remember we started I think the big thing about high school is you stop listening to what people tell you to do, and you kind of start questioning, like, well, why do I have to think that way?
Yeah, see, like, I was always in, like, the role of, I was this, like, I was good at sports, I had a lot of friends, so I was like, oh, I need to be mean to, like, keep my role. But, but then looking back, I'm like, why couldn't I just been, like, the cool person that,
that's
like,
what I
wasn't
think,
a dick?
Yeah.
I think, like, my senior year, I remember reading Paradise Lost and being kind of like, so all of us were raised as Catholics, and I remember reading Paradise Lost and kind of being like, oh, my entire life I've been told to do this one thing, but now I'm reading this thing and I don't exactly like this part. So, and I think you kind of start questioning things, and then that's just then been a whole slope because now it's all a free-for-all in my mind, and I'm going to scream it to everybody.
Where you question everything?
Yeah.
Like when you're watching a rom-com and someone just grabs somebody and kisses them, you're like, that's assault!
That's sexual assault, man! And there's no going back.
No,
there's no
you
going
can't
back.
unsee it.
So I think that's what, I mean, when they say, I think, and for some people who have horrible high school experiences, but it does shape you. Because it did. Because it does. God. It will change.
Like, I would not be where I am now if I wasn't who I was in high school. Which, like, I'm so much better for, because I'm, like, so much happier.
Don't you want to go, like, slap that person?
Yeah.
I want to go slap me for, like, why are you so quiet? Like, there was some stuff going on that I probably should have spoken up. Like, because I think I chose to ignore things that were going on around me that probably were wrong, and I was just like, no, I don't want to talk to anybody. So
there are so many times, even so, like, it's as simple as going on Facebook, looking at Facebook posts from when I was in high school.
Don't you just want to shoot yourself?
Oh my god, if I could go back...
Heading out to party with all my friends. Like, nobody cares, Rissa, 2009.
Like, if I could go back 5 and slap James from 5 or 10 years ago, I would be so happy. So, the one thing that I want to slap myself in the face for is that I never went to... Well, I wasn't really, like, so thrilled, honestly. Like, school dances, yes, they were cool at first. But going through the years, I don't know. The last 2, like I said, I didn't think that they were that great for me. And I stopped enjoying it, and that's why I didn't go to prom.
What do you mean in school? Like, homecoming? That's another thing. Like, was homecoming big for you, Rissa?
Not too big.
That's another thing. Like, I think you see in
we
movies.
did have homecoming king and queen.
Yeah,
we had that too, but it wasn't giant.
Nobody cared about it. It was just like this.
I mean, there was people that cared, but like it was like the people that cared were the only people that like.
It seems like that's such a big thing in movies, like the homecoming dance, and I'm like, no one. We cared
also didn't
about
have prom king and queen.
Really?
Yeah,
no, that was big. Yeah, that was big.
We didn't have that. Go ahead, you go now.
Prom.
It's your turn.
Prom.
Well, yeah, I didn't go to prom, but I went to after prom. And it was okay. I will say that...
See, I think after prom is so stupid. The whole part of prom is to go to prom and then go away for the weekend and get...
Yeah.
That's like your cool first kids did.
That was like your first taste of like freedom, of like going out and drinking and like in a house by yourself with your friends. Yeah, no adult supervision.
I totally know what all that is. I didn't go to prom. And I remember kind of being ashamed of it, especially when it was going on. And I did it because that's not me. I wasn't the type of person to get dressed up. I literally wore a ponytail every single day from probably from the time I was born until college. Because college, it was like, oh, nobody knows me. And it became a thing where it was like, everybody made it a thing, like, oh, Carly's never been dressed up. Carly doesn't wear makeup. Carly doesn't wear her hair down. And I didn't want the attention on me, so I was just like, you know what? I don't care to go. I'm just not going to go. But then it became a thing, like, even teachers were asking, like, who are you going to prom with? And I didn't have anybody to go with because, again, I really didn't talk to anybody. So I was kind of ashamed about it. Like, it was a lot of pressure. Yeah. And even though deep down I was like, no, I don't want to go because it's not, again, this is why I wish I would have slapped myself and be like, no, you should have been... loud about it. Yeah, like I should have just been like, no, you know what? I don't care about it. You know, it's not something for me. I don't care. And then,
see, like, I kind of went through the same thing with like, because I was a tomboy too when I was like younger. Yeah. And like I honestly still am. I'd rather wear shorts than a dress any day. Except dresses are kind of awesome. So you don't have to wear pants.
Yeah, it's true. And you know, when you go to the bathroom, just lift up and go. Yeah. I mean, it's great.
But no, like high school really transformed me from being like this tomboy. Like I wouldn't even wear jeans until 8th grade. But, like, I would only wear sweatpants, and then, like, I finally wore jeans, and, like, I'd, like, slowly through high school became, like, more...
Yeah, I remember being very surprised when I saw you in your prom dress.
High school definitely molds you.
Because it was like, ooh, Rissa's in a dress.
Yeah, and that was always the thing. It's like, oh, you're just like, all right, let's not make a big deal about this.
That's what I did not want, because everybody would have. If I would have walked in a dress and went with
there was this one girl who I knew since kindergarten. Her mom was like, oh my God, Marissa's in a dress. I was like, yeah, it's prom. I'm not going to come in, like, sweatpants.
Oh, the worst.
And, like, I wore, like, dresses since, like, I was, like, a freshman. So I was like, this isn't, like, a big deal anymore.
Yeah.
Can we get over this?
I wore dresses. It was, like, but for, like, special events, I would wear dresses.
Yeah, but, like, people always had to make a big deal out of it.
Yeah, and I hate it. I remember reading...
this is the reason I don't do it.
I remember Kendall Jenner said she didn't go to prom. I'm like, bitch, you think you special? Because now all of a sudden it's like...
She goes to prom, like, every weekend.
Well, and now it's like, oh, you were so cool. You didn't conform to this society's norms. And I'm like, bitch, I did that in 2009. Don't come for me, Kendall.
See, but I had such a great
Pepsi,
I had such a great time at my prom.
I
had the most basic, like, American high school experience.
At prom?
No, like, in, like, high school in general.
Oh.
I will say this. If my high school was wrapped into one thing, kind of like Dazed and Confused, honestly.
You know, Rissy's never seen that before, and so I made her watch it last week. And I sat, like, halfway through, and I was like, I think this seems like it's very much your... Dazed and Confused is one of the most accurate to American high school in general. Not to, obviously, we've been over that it's not... I didn't experience that. But I think, especially to your high school experience, I think it's so accurate.
It really is, because... It was without, like, the violence, really. But, like, there was, like, hazing. Especially, like, in sports. There was a lot of hazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And there was, like, that, like, you had to, like, overcome, like, the older kids, like, kind of, like, picking on you. Yeah. And then, like, once you did, you were, like, you're cool.
Yeah,
but, like, there was that. And, like, there was...
Especially the big party where everybody, you know, goes... I knew those happened.
God.
Obviously,
you don't understand because you guys don't have the experience of, like... You do, but from your own town. You don't from Hamilton.
Well, I didn't go to one high school party.
See, I don't think I missed one in high school, because, like, that was, like, if you missed a party, like, shit was going to be talked about.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and it was just, like, and especially for my town, you were able to walk anywhere, so, like, you didn't need, like, your parents' permission to go to, like, a party. So, like, every weekend there was a party, and there was always something to do. But parties were, like, a huge part of my high school experience. Like, and if you've been to a high school party, like, you know the layout of it. You walk in, and, like, it's a living room.
Everyone has their own
they're,
clique.
like, sitting there. See, like, that's the thing. My school was so small that, like, if you were at a party, with, like, a clique. But it was, like, you go in, the dining room table is always used for, like, a pong table. Mm-hmm. You had the kitchen where people were doing shots or doing funnels.
Yes.
And
my God.
You had the living room.
You're explaining everything perfectly.
You had the living room.
You're in my head, man.
The living room is where, like, people would, like, play, like, flip cup or, like, play, like, kings or something.
And then you had a crowd of people that were sitting at the front door smoking cigarettes.
No, we had it on the back porch. They were usually smoking
or the back porch.
Yeah. And then usually they closed off the upstairs because no one wanted drunk people in their room.
I remember seeing of you two on Facebook, because at this point now I was finally on Facebook. I was, again, so against Facebook. I wouldn't go on it until I graduated, and I'm like, well, it became a way of, like, being able to talk to my friends after we all graduated. So I remember seeing pictures of you two at parties and being like, oh, those bad kids. They're 18 years old drinking. What is it? A beer in your head?
There's so many embarrassing, like,
oh my God. I know. I wish I could delete, like, half of my Facebook.
No, like, I love it because I'm like, what was I thinking?
Well, Rissa was asking for, embarrassing pictures of us from high school. And I'm like, I don't have any.
I have so many. So I'm like, I have, like, ones, and I'm like, especially if, like, I look at my old Facebook from, like, 8th grade, it's pretty embarrassing.
Yes, you look at my Facebook and it's like they're all the same. It's all regular smiling.
See, but, like,
pictures.
you did like what I did in high school, except you did it in Ireland. So, like, there's, like, no.
Oh, my heart.
There's no proof.
Yeah.
There's no real proof, but, like, it happened.
Yeah.
See, but, like, I have, like, awful, like, photographic proof, and then I have a whole journal filled with, like, my shenanigans.
I was, like, 5 years delayed. Yeah. I had my, like, early college, high school experience.
Like, when I went out and
I was, like, 23 years old.
Like, when I went out and visited you in Ireland. I was like, well, I'm really living my glory days.
Drinking every single night.
I felt like an old woman, like, compared to you guys.
There was probably an entire month, maybe the month of July, that was dedicated to going to a person's house, having maybe a crowd of 10 people there, hotboxing a garage, just sitting there and smoking all day.
See, there's usually like 3 different kinds of people at like a high school party. It was like the real popular kids that get like invited everywhere. They're like secondary friends that like nobody really likes, but they get invited because like they play a sport or something.
Either that, or everybody needs a wingman. Everybody need a wingman.
Or like the kid like throwing the party.
Yeah.
And like they wasn't usually like the jocks or anybody. It was like, or the popular kids. It was like the kid that like wanted to get up there. And like they did. Yeah. They became like super cool because they were the ones that threw the party. But
are you still friends with the kids that you did all these parties with? Would you say you're still friends with all of them?
I'm friends with like a good amount of them. But like it goes different because like you literally see them like every day.
I'm not that many. Even with my little close-knit group of friends, I talk to 2 girls. I mean, one a little bit more than the other one. We check in maybe once every like. See,
but my 3 closest friends, my one I've known since 3rd grade.
Yeah.
My other one, we were best friends throughout our entire high school. We met in like 7th grade, and then my other one is we met after high school, but we went to the same high school. But she was kind of like you, and like didn't really do or say much.
Yeah.
So, like, I had no idea. She was actually terrified of me, I found out later. So,
I am friends with those who fear.
She literally said, she was like, yeah, you were terrifying in high school. I was like, what did I do? And then I looked back and I was like, yeah, I guess I was kind of an asshole.
No, I'll definitely say that in high school, I'll definitely say, like, how you were saying before, like, you branched out, you were friends with really everybody. But there were, like, my crew of people that consisted of, I don't know, maybe like 15 people.
Yeah, I was gonna say you had a pretty big.
Yeah, I had a big crowd of people, but we called ourselves like the Goonies because like we weren't really cool people. We weren't really jocks. We weren't really dorks. We weren't really like like a nerdy or anything like that. We were just kind of like delinquents. We were like the misfit toy island.
Stoners.
Yeah, stoners. No, that's serious. But
stop beating around the bush.
And Dazed and Confused, you were like,
you really, that's the, what's the, Chick-a-later.
Yeah.
Oh, Slater.
Yeah.
No, I definitely, well, we were going back to that. Yeah, like, Dazed and Confused was, I mean, minus, a hillbilly shooting at the back of your car. There were definitely things from that movie where it was like, wow, that's really kind of spot on to how it was. I remember that there was a time where we would get together, we cleared out a spot in the woods, and we would just go back there, we would start bonfires, and we would drink. Highly, allegedly. It's bad.
See, we never had, like a woods to go to. Well, we just had, like...
Yeah, because it's pretty compact.
We used to... It's really bad.
You had train tracks, I remember that.
Yeah, we used to call it water bottling it, and we used to just, like, fill a water bottle
and swing
with straight vodka or rum or something.
Absolutely.
And, like, no chasers. We're pretty hardcore. Us little 15-year-olds. But, like, and then we just walk around town. And we had this, like, one wall in Bogota. Like, it's, like, the highway wall. Yeah. And, like, we'd sit there and be like, the wall. We're going to go hang at the wall. And, like, looking back, I'm like...
So cool.
See, I was watching a Discovery Channel while all this was going on.
Jay just rolling 60 miles an hour. Meanwhile,
I enjoyed myself, okay?
So did I. I had a great time. Made many mistakes, but had a great time. See, like, in my high school, we were so terrified of, like, drinking and driving because we always had these, terrifying assemblies.
Yeah.
Did you guys have these? Like, they used to bring in, like, convicts.
We had cops. One.
Ex-gang members. We had this one guy. He was terrifying. He had AIDS. But, like, he gave us this
That's
story.
That's the worst out of all.
No, but he gave us this story. Like, he was, like, a college athlete, like, got hurt, like, got hooked on pills. Then, like, all of a sudden, like, was shooting up heroin and got, like, AIDS from heroin. But, like, he just kept screaming. Like, he'd be telling a story and then he'd be like, Mama! Mama! And he'd be like, we were all, like, sitting there, like... Pretty sure no one from my high school does heroin because of that man. But, like... They used to, like, try to scare us straight in these assemblies. And, like,
we didn't have those. We used to have, there's a lot of heroin in Hamilton.
Yeah, actually, it's like a pretty big epidemic now.
They thought we had like this gang problem because like Spanish kids were hanging out.
Yeah,
because
that is like probably a big race thing.
Yeah, it was because we had like an all-white administration, and then we had like these Spanish kids hanging out, and like they used to call themselves like Del Patio, which I'm pretty sure just means the backyard or like patio or something. And they were like, oh, it's a gang. So like we weren't allowed to like people weren't allowed to wear like. Did you guys ever have like things where like people wore beads and stuff?
No, I mean
that might have been more of like a cultural thing.
We didn't have like our school was pretty white, but it wasn't totally white. I mean there definitely was a your groups of people. We had some kids who didn't speak English at all.
Oh no, that was most of our.
That's what like we had some kids, like it was mostly white.
Yeah, but they used to come in and they used to bring in these convicts that were like gang related things.
It happened one time,
and like they'd be like chained up to the chair and everything, and like they'd expect us to ask like these like hard hitting questions, and we'd be like, "Hey yo, ever drop the soap?" Like there was at least like 5 kids that got sent to the office. The problem though, like we did have stuff like that, like assemblies. Like
our older sister Erin, who we said she's very old. But she had like this weird thing, like every year she was in high school, someone died. And in her school, like I'm telling you, in her yearbook, she had like 70 pages just for like in memoriam pages. But it was awful. And it was all these things like drunk driving, and it was like they would always put around prom season, they would put this like destroyed car in the front of the school, right in the front of the school.
Yeah, we did that. Yeah, they did that like at the same time. Prom.
Yeah, but it was like, it wasn't enough though. Like you could, it was just all these.
I also think it's because you guys had to drive somewhere.
Yeah, we definitely. Yeah. But I think it's just. You got all these white kids, and they're like, no, well, they bring in this convict. Yeah, well, they bring in this convict, and you're like, that's not me. Mm-hmm. I'm a white kid. It's a big thing. It goes back to privilege, and I'm sure we'll have a future podcast on that. Mm-hmm. But I think look at the high school, look at I don't know, because obviously I wasn't in that group. I don't think there was a big heroin issue in our years that we were there, but now it's a big issue. I mean, how many kids did you go to school with who have now since died of heroin overdoses?
There's at least maybe like 8.
But it's like since it's not like they were in school when it happened, it's been after. But I think it's probably going on now in the high school. But I just think it's a lot of the kids, like where you said like, oh, like you were kind of scared straight, but we
did have a lot of kids that smoked a lot of pot. Like my first like week of 7th grade. We had a kid in 7th grade get like arrested for selling weed out of his locker, and this kid's in 7th grade.
No, we had that. We did have that. It's just you have these.
Oh wait, no, we did have that because
we had a lockdown, and then
they had dogs come into.
Yeah, that's what we had.
Yeah,
and it was just like
I just think you had a bunch of white kids who were privileged and who were like, no, that's not gonna happen to me, and because it didn't happen to nothing ever happened to them.
I think a lot more people in your town probably got away with things.
Yeah,
because
for sure.
Because, like, you guys are definitely from, like, a higher class of society than, like, people in my town are.
I don't want to confuse, like, it's, like, goes back to, Nana thinks that we went to some, like, preppy, giant mansion of a high school. It wasn't, like, there were definitely kids who drove around, like, there would be a kid, like, there was always that one kid who had a BMW, and, I mean, even in Erin's class, she graduated in probably, like, 1902, there was a girl with a BMW. I remember because I remember Erin going through in the yearbook, and it was like because one of the awards that you can get at the end of like in the yearbook was like nicest car.
1992.
No,
not 1992. 1902.
Get it right, Rissa. So
God,
making her way younger than she is.
So I was. But I like even she had like the girl who drove the BMW. But it's most of the kids had little beat up junky cars. Like we weren't this richy white preppy school, but we did. It was a lot of white kids, and I don't think like money has so much to do with it. If you're just a white kid, you're like, no, that's not gonna happen to me. And then now all of a sudden, now you're like, but maybe we should have been scared. You should have been scared straight because now look at you.
Yeah.
You floozy.
Bottles on bottles. So in my high school, we had like this real big problem with like creepy teachers, and like there is 3 that I can think of right off the top of my head that when I was in school are now no longer teachers because they creeped.
You could have been like a
really
like a soap opera.
Yeah, no, seriously.
Yeah, really.
Like we had
like
one
a really creepy dark one.
Yeah, we had a teacher that was like texting girls like that he was teaching and like got caught. And then we got one who was texting boys wanting pictures, also got caught. And then we had
was it a guy or a girl?
It was a guy.
Oh.
And then we had another. This was a girl.
It's gross either way.
Obviously,
but the thing is, it's kind of like a double standard because then we had a girl who was like known to have like hooked up with like a student. But
she's
then,
a whore.
But then like nothing, like she didn't get arrested or anything. But she got removed from the school and like went and taught somewhere else. Teachers and then abusing power because like it happens so often. Like there's maybe like less than 100 teachers in the school. And
absolutely, there's
way less than 100 teachers, and like there's 3 right off of the top of my head, and there's more before that, before I was even in school, that this is happening like constantly.
Yeah, I don't know how your school is still running.
Me neither, because like, it literally happens all the time.
No, it's definitely that definitely happens. Teachers do abuse their power,
and like especially in high school, like again, your brain's not fully developed. You're like, oh, this is cool. I'm talking to an older whoever, but it's just like it's creepy. Like looking back, you're like, ew.
Yeah.
Like what were these people thinking?
Yeah. But I will say there are definitely teachers though that you do like connect with. Like
no, there are great teachers that like are able to connect with kids, especially kids that like most teachers won't connect with. Like you, like you're not gonna connect with a math teacher, probably.
No. Oh my god, math teachers.
Exactly. Me too. Like
hated me.
It's just, there's great teachers out there, but there's also those, like, freaking creeps.
Well, a scholar such as myself, because you two
are delinquents.
Well, college dropout and a college no tryout over here.
Thanks.
We work at the same place.
Because of high school, though, I have spent thousands and thousands of dollars. Because that's, like James was saying...
Oh, and you also want to be a teacher. This is interesting.
And I just want to point out, you don't have to go to college. Anybody listening to this, anybody who's younger and still in high school, you don't have to go to college. You can still do great things. Look at Seth Rogen. All right? He's an actor.
Do what you want. Yeah, but I wouldn't...
And makes awesome movies.
Yeah, but I wouldn't... Seth Rogen is Seth Rogen. Like,
I'm just saying, people could do other things.
Just do whatever you love.
Exactly.
But also, don't take advice from podcasts from, like, really... not qualified people.
Yeah. That's true. But I would say because my high school is one of the only high schools I found that actually gave marine biology as a subject that you could take as an elective, and because I had a really cool teacher.
See, we didn't have like real like cool electives.
That's going back to the big school, but I took that in high school, and now I have a master's degree in it. Yeah. So I just kept doing it. I found that I liked it in high school, and now
like who thinks of like? Would you ever thought like fish?
No, I mean I knew I'd like it because I've always been ever since I can have memories. I've always liked science,
like SeaWorld.
So that is a touchy subject. We're gonna move on from that, Rissa. Thanks for bringing it down. But I've always known that I'd like science, and then so kind of getting. There's a little bit of science that obviously is boring, but I all of a sudden I got to marine biology and I'm like, wait, I like all of this. And then I went to a school that a college that just so happened to have it as a major, and now the rest is history. So and that was all because of high school. True that. All right, right now we're gonna switch it up.
A little game.
It's enough talking, really. So we're gonna do. Each week we're going to do a little game based on what the topic it is. So this week we're going to do 2 truths and a lie.
Throwing it back to high school drinking games.
Rissa, you're up first.
Alright, so my first truth or lie is I had a scavenger hunt and ripped hair off a teacher's arm for extra points.
Oh, that's nice.
My second one is I was nominated for class nicest. And my third one is I got suspended for skipping class.
I'm going to say... So I have to pick out the lie, right?
Yeah.
The lie is you got suspended.
Ripped off teachers. No. Suspended. You've never been suspended. Your dad would kill you if you got suspended.
I actually did get suspended once.
Wow.
But it wasn't for skipping class.
Ah.
I'm not actually sure why I was suspended. I think I was like mouthing off.
Probably.
I had this like teacher who like liked to go back. I had a teacher that like liked to go back and forth until he couldn't think of something to say back to you.
Well, that's just rude. Then.
Right?
Suspend you for that. Okay.
Yeah.
So mine. See if you can get it now. Mm-hmm. All right. Oh wait, I have 2 lies and a truth. So.
All right.
I'm just gonna do that one.
Mixing it in.
All right. I starred in every school musical. I had a baby with my math teacher, senior year math teacher. Get it right?
Makes it better.
And I didn't strike out once my entire junior year season. Which one is the truth?
You didn't strike out once your entire...
I'm actually really proud of that because that's
kind of hard. Bring it up literally all the time, so...
I don't recall. So
you literally, I'm pretty sure you told me that like last week.
You know, I'm proud of it, okay? It's a little hard to do. Derek Jeter did it too, okay?
Excuse me, is this thing on? I got MVP on my junior year.
Me too. I just didn't think I had to brag about that one, okay? James, move on.
Okay. Mine, I'm not really...
Go back and forth. I want a state championship, bitch!
Come look at my trophy.
Come look at it, bitch!
Mine, I don't know. I'm not really too proud of these. But
we're like, we did this and this.
No, yeah. Well, number 1.
Is it 2 truths and a lie, or 2 lies and a truth? That's
No, it's 2 truths.
I don't have anything interesting to say. I literally went home and watched Discovery Channel. I'm not lying about that.
We know.
2 truths and a lie. But, okay, number 1. I decided that I was going to skip school halfway through the day, walked all the way home, got there, got very sketched out, and walked all the way back.
From your own house?
From my house. And came back and sat down in my class 2 periods later.
I can see that happening.
I can so see that happening.
I'm scared to be alone.
Scared.
2. I broke into the press box on our football field and smoked on lunch.
Pretty sure you told me this story.
3. Nominated Nicest Eyes.
No, you didn't get that one.
No, I think it's the second one you're lying about. Maybe you didn't tell me about that.
It's the 3rd one. She was right.
I was gonna say, I remember hearing this story.
Nobody liked him. Come on now.
The thing is bullshit. Nice. No, see, that is the thing about high school, because that is bullshit.
Oh, you got nominated for a Nicest Eyes? I won Nicest Eyes.
No, the thing
Class of 80, bitches!
What was the sample size for that, Rissa? Okay, so next, on to our other segment, our weekly segment. We're gonna pick, because we all music lovers here, so we're gonna say, we're gonna have a song a week. Just so this makes sense. I don't think we just, went into detail of why we're just going to name a song last week. So,
we just love music.
So we're going to name a song that has something to do.
And, like, it relates to every situation.
Yeah, that's right. So we're going to have a song that, something to do with high school. So, Rissa.
Mine's pretty interesting. My song is Danza Kuduro. Probably not even saying it right.
Just instant classic.
It was played at every single high school party I was probably ever at, and like honestly, I love this song. Great memories to it, and every time it goes on, I like lose my shit. But it was like there's a lot of Spaniards in my grade. I was Spanish.
Yeah, you are.
I was in the past.
I was a Spaniard.
I was a Spanish.
No longer a Spaniard. You're looking a little pale these days.
Yeah, but no, it was literally on every single party, and like it was just the one song that would come on, and like my group of friends just knew like this was it. This is where you go crazy at, and so that reminds me of high school.
So for me, I mean, this may come as a shocker to you, but it was a little strange. I didn't like...
You? Strange?
No. Yeah. So our parents, though, were so against, like, current radio that for a long time, all I knew was, like, Bruce Springsteen and, like, classic rock, like the Eagles.
Yeah.
Not a bad way to grow up.
But that's, like, I didn't know.
I love the way that
exactly.
how that's our music taste. Are you kidding me?
But for a long, like, only into high school, like, I guess when I got my car, I finally was like, oh, wait, there's, like, today's
new
hits.
music.
Yeah. So for a long time, like, Queen, like Somebody to Love, Bohemian Rhapsody, Don't Stop Me Now. That was songs. What I loved. Like that was like what for I don't know. Yeah, I can't even tell you what was out at the time. Like what you could equate something that I would have liked because I didn't know. So
I was like, I played a Cascada song for you today, and you were like, I have no idea what this was.
No idea what that was.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so that's like Queen was what I actually like. Freddie Mercury was like my like everything. But then And then at the same time, like Across the Universe, the movie came out, and that kind of, which is, I don't know, maybe like real authentic Beatles fans would be like, ugh, that's how you're introduced to Beatles music. I knew Beatles music before, but I know that made me listen to some and then be like, wait, I kind of like this. Let me go see what else they have. And so it was Queen and the Beatles was like huge with, and then I guess if I have to add like one pop one, in my senior year, like towards the end of my senior year, Lady Gaga came onto the scene. And
like you lost your shit to Lady Gaga.
And it was like my first pop queen. And that was it. Then that she was like
who we saw recently.
Oh, and she was such a queen. But Bad Romance, Poker Face, Just Dance, that all came out, and that was just like it just like clicked with me, and I was like, wait, I like pop music. And so that's it for me, but it's a little different.
No. But I'm just picking this song just because I don't know, it kind of gives me a lot of memory towards really high school. And it's by Rise Against, and it's called Swing Life Away. And I don't know. I know it's kind of like a very like mellow tune and everything, if you've ever heard it. But it's just a song I remember like when I always used to walk around the hallways with earphones on. I didn't like talking to anybody. I just kind of tried to mind to myself mostly because I don't know, I didn't like people in high school all the time. In fact, a lot of my friends were they weren't in my grade. They were either above me or in another school. But anyway, so I just remember it being a song that just really like clicked with me. It just reminds me a lot of like being in that time of like, you know, you're a true teenager, either, you know, studying sports or partying, you know what I mean? It's just something that really like, I don't know. When I hear that song, it really brings me back. It's like so much nostalgia just kind of runs through, and a lot of deja vu. But yeah, I don't know. I say everybody that has time, listen to all these tunes. Just sit down, listen to them, enjoy them, really take in what the lyrics are.
Go
listen
crazy,
to the
dude. Well,
tunes.
you're not gonna know the lyrics to Danza Kuduro because I've been listening to it for years and still don't know what anything means.
And you're Colombian.
It's just great jam out to.
Well, that's it for another week. PorkRoll.Vs.
Taylor Ham. So delicious.
So we'll see you all next week, and I hope you have a lovely week. And
keep up with us on our social medias.
Yeah, so we told you. So Twitter is PorkRoll.Vs. And our Instagram, Rissa got it wrong last week, like a horse that she is. So get it right this week, Rissa. Don't mess up.
Let's see if I can do this. All right, so we are just PorkRoll.Vs. Taylor Ham.
So look us up. Easy. So
give us some likes. We got some cute dog pictures. Got some. There's no pictures of us because you don't want to see that.
No one cares.
They're just like mostly dogs and our little.
We have a little mascot. So follow us.
He needs a name.
That. We'll think of one. So by next week we'll have a name.
Yeah.
If you have any suggestions, please send them.
Comment on his picture.
Slide into our DMs. Okay, that's never happened to me before. I'd like to be able to have a little evidence to use that term.
Yeah.
So okay. Exactly. So we'll see you next week. Have a lovely week. Goodbye.
Bye.